Hello, it's Big Chads, and this is the Trading Encyclopedia Daily Education series on my YouTube, Chads Trading. Find me on Twitter at Big Chads and Bitcoin Live, where I am a founding analyst. For today's lesson, we're going to take a look at a selection from my second book, Trading Wisdom. 50 lessons every trader should know. I have a separate playlist on this, but I'm making the entire book, all 50 lessons, free in the Trading Encyclopedia. And today we're going to do lesson 34, indicator basics. This one's a little bit longer. So this talks about the idea that the indicators, these oscillators, they can give you information about the pace and the speed of price changes. And there's four major types here. There's momentum, there are volatility, there are volume indicators, and then there's trend indicators, like the ADX would be a trend indicator, right? RSI would be, for example, a momentum indicator, right? So a momentum indicator, like the RSI, it tells you the rate of the rise and fall of prices. And the RSI, I have a separate video on the RSI, and that talks about really just measuring against its own price history, not, like the RSI of Bitcoin versus the RSI of Solana. That's not how it works, but it basically talks about here's a momentum indicator, the RSI. You can do patterns. This is something people don't know. You can do a pattern on something like an RSI or an OBV. You can draw two-level filter break. You can do all sorts of stuff. Talked about the RSI failure swing. I have a video specifically on the RSI failure swing where it, enters 70 and then it leaves and it tries to re-enter the power zone. It's unable to do that. Definitely go ahead and check out that video. Then like a volume indicator, on balance volume is my favorite one, and this one's an index. It basically just adds up the buy and the sell volume. It's kind of like the accumulation distribution index. And I talk about the fact that the RSI is a bounded oscillator, fixed upper and lower limits. The OBV I mentioned here is an unbounded oscillator, right? It does not have a fixed upper and lower limit. You can also talk about the idea of OBV with the patterns as well, breaking support or resistance, drawing patterns as well, just like OBV. Another one, which is my favorite, and again, I have videos on all of these, is the Bollinger Band. It's a volatility indicator. And you have the two standard deviations of volatility, the upper and lower band. You have the middle band, which is a 20 simple moving average, equal weighted. So you can read about that. I have videos on that. It gives you generally overbought and oversold, and it works well with candlestick confluence. And another one is here's an example of a trend indicator. So I'm showing you the four major types. We talked about momentum, RSI, volatility, OBV, volume, on balance volume, and trend. The ADX, average directional index. I have a video on that specifically as well. And this is just a trend following tool. The trend, the price should be following the overall trend. You can give you a strength of a trend. And this is, again, just a specific video on the ADX. What's really important to know, though, is really the price leads. So you don't want to have too many indicators. You don't want to have like RSI and stochastics and 5, 6, 7, 8 indicators or oscillators. They're going to take your focus away from the price. Something about being bounded or unbounded. I talked about the RSI is bounded with a fixed upper and lower limit. Unbounded oscillators like the OBV, the ADX, or the MACD, for example. And this is the main point that I mentioned earlier. You don't want to be using like an RSI divergence to trigger a trade idea. You can use these things to confirm a trade idea, but the origin of the trade idea needs to come from the price. You're letting the price action dictate, and then you use these other things to confirm your trading idea. And then again, here I talked about don't have multiple indicators that do the same thing. So really, this is lesson 34 from my book, Trading Wisdom. I published this book all the way back in 2021, and I've gone on to publish a couple other books three other books, 4 total and 2 after Trading Wisdom. But I'm making the entire book. This is my most popular book by far, Trading Wisdom. And I'm putting the whole book for free in the Trading Encyclopedia playlist. This is lesson 34. Find me on Twitter at Big Chads and Bitcoin Live, where I am a founding analyst. Thank you, folks, and I'll talk to you soon. Big Chads out.